Stephanie White, I've had it up to here with you. I've had it up to here. I know you are going to take zero accountability as always. As always, you blast the referees, I see. You flat out blast the referees for the horrible officiating on Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell. And I have to say, that's the only good thing you did last night was blast the refs. That's the only good thing you did, because you damn sure did not coach a good basketball game. And I know you're not going to take any accountability.
Look at some response from the Fever fandom, because the Stephanie White coaching situation is now splitting the fan base. All right, there's no way around it at all. You got fans mad that other fans are being critical of the coach. I don't know how you watch this team and not be extremely critical.
Stephanie White just delivered the WNBA's spiciest, most unhinged post-game meltdown of the season. And no, it wasn't about her team's catastrophic inability to put the ball in the basket. It was a full-blown tinfoil hat conspiracy rant aimed squarely at the referees, blaming them for everything short of the national debt. Meanwhile, the Indiana Fever had just played a game so poorly, they looked like they were auditioning for a blooper reel. So the question is, was this a righteous crusade against genuinely bad officiating, or was it the single greatest act of deflection in basketball history? Oh, you are going to want the tea on this one.
Notification. The Indiana Fever are complete trash. Trash. How do you lose to the Dallas Wings, who have won 8 games all year? What a joke. Stephanie White is trash. Trash, bruh. Aaliyah Boston, you getting dragged up and down the court by the Chinese girl all game. Liu Eru destroyed Aaliyah Boston. Come on, man. What are we talking about here?
Let's set the scene. The Indiana Fever didn't just lose to the Dallas Wings, they were systematically dismantled, cooked, and served up on a platter of humiliation. This was the kind of loss where you have to avert your eyes from the box score to avoid second-hand embarrassment. The defense was so full of holes, you could have driven a team bus through the lane without grazing a single jersey. At one point, they allowed the Wings, a team with only 8 wins all year, to go on a staggering 19-0 run. At home, the offense was a festival of brick shots and unforced turnovers, piling up like bad reality TV spin-offs.
Coaching. You cannot lose that game last night at home. You cannot. You cannot have a 19-0 run put on you in any quarter at home by any team in the league, much less the Dallas Wing. You can't have that run put on you by the New York Liberty at home. All right? That's unacceptable. Much less a trash-ass team like the Dallas.
But in Stephanie White's post-game press conference, none of that was the story. Forget the lazy defense, the missed layups, and the complete lack of execution. According to her, the real culprit, the shadowy villain responsible for this on-court disaster, was the officiating crew. She came out like a detective in a crime drama who had already decided who was guilty, presenting the refs as the sole reason for her team's collapse. It was a performance for the ages, a masterclass in how to dodge responsibility like it's a defender in the paint.
The refs are not the reason we lost this game. I'm gonna tell you that right now. As piss poor and as trash as these refs have been, and how they should be getting bombed on, and how half of them should be fired and sent back to Home Depot and Smart and Final. Yeah, that's where they should be. They were not the reason we lost this game. We fell down 14 points to a team that had 8 wins on the goddamn.
Now let's be fair, WNBA officiating can be wildly inconsistent. Some nights, it feels like the whistles are being controlled by a toddler randomly mashing buttons on a video game controller. But this loss, this was a full team meltdown that no amount of generous officiating could have saved. The referees weren't the ones out there bricking wide open layups or airballing shots you could make in your driveway with your eyes closed. They weren't committing turnovers so baffling you'd think they were trying to win a giveaway contest. And they certainly weren't the ones jogging back on defense like the concept of transition was just invented 5 minutes ago.
But to add insult to injury, when we come out the game scoring 15 points in the first quarter, when we come out the half scoring 13 points in the third quarter, when the team seems not ready to actually play, when we have a coach that allows the Dallas Wings to go on a 19-0 run without making any adjustments, without calling a timeout. Dallas Wings 19-0 run. When we have all of these factors working against us, it's going to be very hard to win games.
No, all of that was pure, uncut Indiana Fever-made magic. And by magic, I mean a spectacular disappearing act. For long stretches of the game, their offense simply evaporated into thin air. They scored a pathetic 15 points in the first quarter and an even more miserable 13 points in the third. Yet, in Stephanie White's closing argument to the media, the cold, hard truth that her team couldn't buy a bucket if they were shopping at Target during a Black Friday sale went completely unmentioned.
Stop it. Stop it. Let's see if Stephanie White takes any accountability for how this game played out. And we know she probably...
Chloe Bibby, I'm at the point where I want to see Chloe Bibby get 15 to 20 minutes a night. Shoot, maybe put her in the starting lineup. Chloe Bibby is a shot maker. She is a shot maker. She shoots the three. It's like she doesn't care whether it goes in or whether it misses. She knows as soon as it hits my hand, I'm throwing it up there. And more often than not, Chloe Bibby's hitting those three-point shots. Sophie Cunningham continues to show up for this team. Kelsey Mitchell played well enough, had a terrible brain fart. Oh my goodness, a terrible brain fart with 13 seconds left. The Indiana Fever lose to the Dallas Wings 81-80. We were down by as many as 17 points. 17 points. We battle back, we fight back, we get close.
This is where the conversation turns to accountability. Great coaching isn't just about drawing up plays, it's about facing the music when your team collectively forgets how to play basketball. And that's the chapter Stephanie White conveniently decided to skip. You cannot get torched on both ends of the floor for 48 minutes, and then stand at a podium and act like a few bad calls were the deciding factor. That's like burning a pizza to a charcoal briquette and then blaming the oven manufacturer for your dinner.
Difference. What'd you see go sideways in that stretch?
Well, I didn't think our attention to detail on defense was very good. They got loose for some easy ones. We started fouling, getting to the free throw line, and turning the ball over. I mean, there were moments where, there's no transition defense for turnovers for scores. And, we had multiple in a row. I mean, 27 points off of turnovers. And, I felt like...
Is any of this your fault, Stephanie White? Is any of this your fault? Or are you about to sit here and pass the buck to each player individually to make it seem like you have no part in this? This is disgusting.
Now I know some Fever fans will rush to her defense, claiming she's just standing up for her players. And yes, there's value in a coach protecting their team from public criticism. But there is a Grand Canyon-sized gap between showing support and creating a fantasy world where your team is perpetually undefeated in its own alternate reality. In the real world, the one where scoreboards exist, the Fever got obliterated.
The disaster that was, you cannot lose this game to the Dallas Wings. By the way, they're now 10-7 at home. No, when you got this much talent, this team should have, they should win, easily be,
The funniest part of this whole charade is that while Stephanie was out there blaming the Zebras for a conspiracy, the opposing coach was probably in his locker room sipping a Gatorade like a Bond villain, knowing his squad had just dismantled the Fever without even needing to play their best game. You could see it in the body language of the Indiana players all night. Heads down, hands on hips, that 1,000-yard stare you usually see from people who have been stuck on a tarmac for 3 hours. They knew they were getting outplayed, out-hustled, and out-coached.
This was an embarrassing performance. How do you lose at home to the Dallas Wings? You lose at home to the Dallas Wings that lost to the gum on the bottom of the shoe, Chicago Sky 3 times. They lost to the Sky 3 times. You lose to the Dallas Wings. Man, stop it, man. Stephanie White is a joke. The gameplay from the door they jumped on us. Jumped all over us from the door. Nobody came out ready. We down 14 points before you blink your eyes twice.
You almost have to admire the sheer audacity it takes to deliver a press conference like that. Imagine walking into your boss's office after completely botching a major project, and with a straight face telling them the real problem was the fluorescent lighting in the break room. That's the energy we're talking about here. There was no hint of we need to be better or this one's on me. It was a full-throated, no-holds-barred referee roast session.
I just watched one of the biggest puke fest I've ever seen in my entire life. You know what should never happen? A 21-3 run at home by the opposing team on you when the opposing team is the Dallas Wings and they're not any good.
But here's the real danger in this strategy. When a coach constantly points the finger outward, it fosters a culture of blame instead of a culture of improvement. Players start to believe their own hype, thinking they don't need to fix their mistakes because the game was stolen from them. That is a fast track to a long, disappointing season. The truly great teams own their bad nights. They watch the tape, they learn from their failures, and they come back sharper. They don't hide behind a shield of excuses. If you think a coach who constantly blames refs is creating a toxic culture, hit that like button and let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Not what you want to see. A game when the Fever blew it. The Fever blew it. They were down 17 points with 6 minutes to go and nearly came back. I'm convinced Stephanie White threw that game. I am convinced, and I'll talk about that later, I am fully convinced Stephanie White threw it.
The comedy of the situation is that the Fever's loss was so lopsided. Blaming the refs almost makes it worse. If this had been a 1-point nail-biter, maybe you could argue that a single bad call swung the momentum. But when you get run off your own home court, that argument doesn't just hold no water. It's a colander. It's like losing a 10-mile race by a full mile and then claiming you would have won if it weren't for a single pothole back at mile 2.
Cue the crash outs. The Fever lost, and there's a clear case to blame head coach Stephanie White, so you know that is coming. Look, the Fever fought their way back into the game late against the Dallas Wings, who are not a good basketball team. The Wings should, be ashamed of themselves for even letting the Fever sniff a chance at victory in this one the way it went. But you also have to remember the circumstances the Fever are playing under. We need context here. It's why I praised them after the Chicago Sky game. They have no point guard. Their best player is sidelined, in Caitlin Clark, of course. Her replacement is out for the season. The only other capable person of playing that position is also out for the season, which is why the Fever turned the ball over so much in this game.
The Indiana Fever have talent. They have players who can ball, but talent without discipline, without execution, and without accountability is just potential waiting to disappoint. The only thing the referees did consistently in that game was give the Fever more opportunities to inbound the ball after yet another turnover. If Stephanie White wants to rally her team, fine. But rally them around fixing what's actually broken, not around some imaginary officiating agenda. Because right now, the Fever aren't losing because of the refs. They're losing because they're playing losing basketball. And until that changes, the post-game drama might be entertaining, but the scoreboard will keep telling the same sad story.